It's out of whack.
It's totally smashed in.
This port support piece got a big gap.
We'll see what this thing can do.
What's up, man? I need to be able to get this bike in the back of this truck.
There ain't no way you can do that safely. We can make it happen by building you a custom air suspension trailer.
This is actually my first one to build, so no pressure.
That is awesome, bro.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
For the most part, we do client builds here at Extensive. But I've been looking for a nice project to build a Baja truck out of, maybe even make a cube. You got to start by buying it really, really low. My buddy Dave says he's got a truck for me that I have to come see. What's up, man?
Hey, how you doing, Bill? Good to see you.
Dave deals in vehicles that he buys at auctions. Most are ready to drive off the lot. Some are just a little bit more than parts. When buying a vehicle like this, you have to do your due diligence. This it?
Yeah, that's it. It's hurt.
Does look a little hurt. Yeah, it got hit hard.
Hard.
You wasn't playing.
What happened with this truck?
They don't tell me what happened at the auction, but it just got wrecked. It's got low miles, though. Real low miles.
What's real low miles?
633.
Oh, man.
Good rear end, good motor, transmission.
Man, it looks good for parts.
Man, it's still got the new car smell.
Oh, yeah, she's new.
Just don't got new car look.
Man, this interior is so new, we don't even have to do anything to it.
You know, I was going to go ahead and salvage it, use the motor and transmission in one of my trucks.
Oh, no, man. We can put this thing back together.
You think so?
This 2017 F-150 rolled off the factory floor with a 5.0-liter Coyote V8 engine. It's the perfect starting platform for what I want to build. Man, you can see the bed still straight with the cab. There's nothing wrong with the back of the frame. It's just the front. Man, I'm seeing making this thing into a Baja truck.
A Baja truck?
We can jump it.
Jump it.
Yeah, man.
Man, this thing is missing a lot, Bill.
Well, that's where you come in, buddy.
Bill's not the kind of guy to scare easy. And seriously, I don't think there's anything he can't build. But this one needs a ton of parts and fixes. And on our dollar, that's what really scares me. Man, I didn't know we were picking it up to build. I thought this was parts.
Yeah, that's what I admire a lot about Bill. He always sees things that other people don't. It is brand new, Bill, but it's in pretty bad shape.
That means it's cheap for me, right?
Yeah, we can run a special. We always do.
Man, we're going to get it running. And you can come check it out, man. You can be there when it happens.
I'd like to be there. Let me know.
I trust you, but do you really want to take this pile home?
Come on, man, of course. Yep. Most of the time, you should just strip a truck like this for parts, but I've been doing this a long time. You see the right truck? It's endless possibilities. We're going to turn a pile of bent-up crap into something that's going to be really cool, man. I've been wanting to build a Baja pre-runner style truck for a while. Street legal truck, you can race and jump. This truck is a perfect thing. We gotta launch it.
By launch?
So,
how high are you talking?
man, at least this high. Yup. You know, Baja truck is just made to take any terrain it can possibly go through. Sand, mud, gravel. That's what a truck like this is built for. Just the aggressive stance. You look at it, it just looks pissed off. It's in bad shape. I mean, you see, that's immediately what you see. To me, half of it's here. That's a head start. What better way to get a truck like this, very little money, and turn it into something really cool and able to jump up into the air.
Well, Timmy, here she is.
What are we doing with this? Taking motor out, trans out, wheels, tires off. A couple of doors look good.
Come on, man. We're gonna build a Baja truck out of this. out of this. The truck is brand new. And on this, we're going to have a little bit higher ground clearance in the front than the rear to go off-road, to jump things, and still be able to drive it on the street every day. Big wide fenders to go along with those suspensions, so the control arms and everything have to be really long to be able to jump. Wide bed sides in the back just for that aggressive look. Bed cage in the back, big huge shocks. We're going to give this thing a second life, and even better than it ever rolled off the assembly line. Spares in the back. We want the whole Baja look. I'm going to drive it around. Who knows, somebody might need it in their life.
So you're going to drive like Bill, and we're going to drive it to the max. Anything we fix after that is roadworthy 100%, because you drive,
hell yeah,
200% worse than anybody I know. Or nothing breaks, we'll just keep it as a shop truck.
Take it to lunch every day.
Lunch, Bill's credit card for gas.
No?
I'll sell it then.
He thinks he's going to sell it when he finishes it? I'll believe it when I see it.
Looking at this truck, you can tell it got hit really hard in the front passenger side, and it's obvious we're going to replace body panels. But man, we need to tear this thing down and see what kind of frame damage there is. The back's good. I don't have any concern at all with this. Let's get the front of this thing all tore apart.
Front end looks a little bit jacked up. You wouldn't even call it a front end.
It's like somebody had already started repairing it. I seen it all wrapped up. Now I see it got hit way harder than I thought it did. Man, the whole throttle body's missing.
Probably gonna need a new one anyways. Get some power.
Well, let's get it tore apart, man. Let's see what else. Let's see what else we need. Dang. You see the little charcoal canister is totally busted. The deep gouge in the cross member, gouge in the transmission pan. The front of the frame is totally out of whack. You can tell somebody's already tried to repair it. I'm nervous about how the uncompleted repair job is done. Hopefully from the point they repaired back is all good. But we won't know anything until we run the string line and go from there. We're going old school to measure the straightness of the frame. Plumb bob's just a tool of just knowing if you have a straight line or not. Sometimes you don't have a point you can just run a tape measure right off of. So if you drop a plumb bob, which is just a weighted string, that gives you a perfectly level string to measure off of. So you can measure from each side of the frame to the plumb bob to know if you're perfectly center on that. If it lines up with your horizontal string, you know you're
off by an eighth.
At the same time, we'll level this thing. So the level will tell us if it's out of whack this way, and the string line will tell us if everything's completely straight that way.
It go up a little bit on the passenger side. Pretty good. Check out that front. Aha, it's out of whack.
Make it level. Let me see how far off it is. The front end is definitely tweaked a little bit. It's a little off center. We want this thing to drive perfectly straight down the road. We want everything 100% in line, no alignment issues. We don't want it pulling off to one side or another. We're going to be abusing this thing. Well, I am. We're going to put it to the test. So I want to make sure everything's going to hold up to what we're going to throw at it. We need to do on the F-150 is repair the frame. It's not just the damage from the accident, but the bad repair job. Elu's going to cut that out. We're going to start all over. Down. All right, perfect. Elu's got all this cut loose. It lines up perfect with our string line. Plumb bob is 100%. It's perfectly level. The last step is just weld this thing up. Man, Lulu, that looks real good, man. Can't even tell anything ever even happened to it. It's just just not the frame needs to be fixed, but the whole passenger side core support was damaged in the accident. So Rudy's going to pull off the bad piece and install a new one.
This F-150 has been in a real bad accident. So what we found was this core support piece, it should be nice and straight here and then curve out. But as you can tell, if we put a straight edge here on the straight part, we got a big gap here. So a little gap here is going to create an even bigger gap here on the end. So we're going to go ahead and pull this piece out, bring in a new piece. It's nice and straight. And that way, when our fenders go on, they should bolt up nice and perfect. So the core support is the structural frame of the front end. Our headlights, radiator, grill, bumper, all that bolts up. It needs to be nice and straight for everything to fit perfect. We got our new core support fender piece in. As you can see, this one's nice and straight. So we'll go ahead and bolt it all up. After that, we'll be good to go.
As much as anything else, I think we're in the problem-solving business. And today, Chad and Melinda, they got a good one for us. They own a local bar and restaurant, and they build their own custom bikes, and they paint everything orange. I mean, everything. What's up, man?
What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Good, man.
Known Bill for about 15 years. One of the first trucks that I ever worked on. Bill did the air ride suspension on it for me.
What you got here? This new one you built?
Yeah, we got it done not too long ago. It's a 08 Road King that we built. Put the 30-inch front wheel on it. Fully bagged it out. Of course, our orange color on it.
Man, it looks good.
Thank you. But we're having a little issue. I need to be able to get this bike in the back of this truck. So I need to come up with some type of ramp system, some kind of mechanism that'll fold out, something.
Man, come on. You can't be... There ain't no way you could do that safely.
Got to figure out a way to get it hauled or
Some air suspension trailer that it can drop completely flat on the ground. You can ride this bike right up on it, strap it down. Easy. And safe.
A custom trailer. That sounds expensive.
What's expensive is dropping this off of a ramp coming out of the back of this truck or hurting yourself.
Bill's vision is just different than anybody else's. When it comes to metalwork, he's a true artist. My thing is, of course, is go with the orange theme. Everything's got to match.
Hell yeah, we can powder coat it orange, no problem. Put some black wheels on it, make everything flow and match and look totally custom.
You good with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool, man. Let's go right up. Let's get you going, man. You can't be having no ramp. Come on.
All right, let's do it.
In 2000, I had an idea for an air suspension motorcycle trailer that is set completely flat on the ground. Had a bike, didn't have a truck at the time, so problem solved, air suspension trailer. A lot of people just see a steel rack, but when you have a steel rack, it's endless possibilities of what you can build. Anybody that's ever put a motorcycle in the back of a truck, they know how sketchy it is and how dangerous and how much it's going to cost. And this just solves all the problems, just makes it super easy. Ride the bike right up on it, strap it down, air it up, and you're on your way. Jamie's one of our best fabricators and a biker himself, so he's going to help me build this trailer.
Thanks, man.
Each and every one of these trailers start out on the same template, but we customize each one depending on the style and size of the bike. And this one, it's got to be orange.
So there's a lot of tube on this trailer. It's probably about maybe close to 60 foot. It needs to be pretty strong to hold up his bike. It's a pretty heavy bike. So everything needs to be cut exactly. There's a lot of angles on this trailer. If I get one of them wrong, it could look crooked. It could not be the same on each side. I need to ditto each side and make everything perfect to the jig. So it's real important all my cuts fit nicely. This is actually my first one to build, so no pressure.
Me and Jamie worked late into the night to make this custom trailer for Chad and Melinda. The frame is mostly welded up. Now it's time for the airbags.
Jamie cut one of two suspension links, so we're going to put this bar through it, and then it's going to pivot on the bolt. This is actually going to be the suspension to the trailer. So you see there's no traditional trailer axle going all the way through it. The spindle of the wheel is going to be right here mounted. We're going to trim it all down so the fender will weld right to it, but that's it. When this thing's all done, it's going to be years and years of trouble-free towing. There you go, ma'am. Hell yeah. Tack it. All right, cool. Hell yeah. This is the same basic system we use on our cars and our trucks. And you can see when you put air in this, as soon as you hit a switch, the valve opens, air goes right into the bag, lifts the arm up, trailer raises. So that's basically the whole suspension in this thing. Now to fit the big wheels. Up there, a few quick measurements, start wrapping it up. You know, we don't have a fixture for this, so every one of these are custom to the wheel, the tire, everything varies on this. So we build everything one off. You see the links we go to make sure everything looks 100% straight. Jump up, measure that real quick. Nobody's going to notice if it's 100% perfect, but they're damn sure going to notice if it's crooked.
Man, that's perfect.
That's what I'm talking about. Now that the frame is straight, we're going to install a long travel suspension on this F-150, which is specially designed for the pre-runners.
Knowing Bill, I know he's going to drive this out of this thing. So these control arms need to be long, strong, and sturdy, which they are. Be perfect for giving us that suspension travel to make sure we don't roll this thing over. It's the last thing this truck wants to do. We're installing the coilovers and shock. A coilover is a shock and spring compacted into one unit. This allows adjustment for no purpose. Of course, Bill's gonna go with the biggest shock he can. He needs the biggest shock to have the softest landing. Push it down at the same time. The shocks keep the truck from bouncing, so it sticks to the road better, no matter how bumpy the road gets. We got our whole setup here installed. Our spindle, our lower control arm, upper control arm, our coilovers, and our shocks. Our wheel is going to stick out pretty far out from the body due to our longer control arms. Give us a little bit more travel on our suspension. As much travel as we can get, the better for us.
Now, Elu and Rudy are installing the brakes. This thing is going to take a beating. It's very important to have super strong stainless steel brake lines.
We don't want the line getting kinked up or ripped up, because if the brake line breaks loose and gets cut, this thing ain't stopping. We really need this brake line to work.
Elu is installing the limiting strap. The limiting strap keeps the suspension all nice and tight, so when you leave the ground, it just won't overextend and get all in a bind.
Now that I have all the limited strap mounted and the brake line mounted, well, the next step is to mount these reservoirs that are just hanging out right now, but we're going to fasten them down for whenever he's up in the air, they won't be all over the place.
That's in. That's perfect.
The frame on this F-150 is good as new. To turn this thing into a pre-runner, we're going to add some reinforcements. I mean, 4,000-pound truck landing nose first, it's going to take a beating. So we want to build a brace goes from tower to tower. So when we jump this thing, the towers just don't fold in. They're so tall. And that's a ton of leverage coming down.
Sounds good.
We'll roll a piece an inch and a half, schedule 80, something real heavy. So then we'll bend it so it gives a nice little contour, little style to it. All right, man. Get my little notepad out here. Got 9 and 7/8. I'll roll it and we'll just lay it out on the table. I just want a little bit of.
More, you try that thing.
No, that's good. Just don't want it straight. Want a little style to it. But going going off the little quick, simple sketch and the measurements and took off the truck and just transferring it over onto a piece of paper so it's actual size. Set my angle on the old computer here. As long as I transferred my measurements to my paper correct, it should fit perfect. First time. Should. This machine uses a hydraulic piston to force a precise bend into our pipes. I say that's it. Now we just gotta cut it. We got our marks. Next step, chop it up, put it on. Think it's gonna fit, Lulu?
Wow, we find out in a minute. We set it down.
Man, that'll work. You know, with this being bent so much, it makes it weak here. When you bend a pipe, it weakens it a little, so I'm gonna double it up and make this thing super strong. Let's bend one more. We'll kind of lean them apart and we'll have extra strength, man, for jumping.
Oh yeah, it'll be a lot stronger.
That's it, man. That looks good. Let's tack it. Man, that thing's gonna be super strong, Lulu. That's never gonna fold up on us. Right in the middle of this, man, to hold all this together, it'll be pretty tight. The engine brace for the F-150 is almost ready. Rudy's burning out a plate so we can tie this thing all together. It's gonna be super strong.
Go ahead and hand it off the bill. You can go ahead and weld it on the Baja truck.
Ooh.
How's that look?
Man, that looks good, Rudy. Tack this thing in. We're just gonna pull this thing off, take it over the table, weld it up. This is one of the things that nobody's ever gonna see, but I know it's there. Every part and piece of this is done right. And that's how we did it. All welded up, ready to go to the powder coater. Because we're turning this truck into a Baja style pre-runner, it has longer front suspension. It's gonna make the wheels stick out farther than the factory fender wells. So I'm having Charlie and Fernando modify the fenders and the bedsides to make this thing all fit.
Being that Bill wants to jump this thing, we need to make sure we've got a ton of clearance in here, so that way that when he does jump, there is clearance and the tires don't hit the inner wheel wells and he doesn't have a problem with that. So the first thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna drill out all the rivets that they have in here holding this out, and then we'll remove this outer shell, and then once we remove that, we'll trim it all off, and we'll use a piece of this to actually keep it extended out, and then we'll build our own wheel well and make it all uniform. This piece is already all mocked in of where we think we want it at, and so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring the fiberglass bedside in and double check everything, check our measurements, make sure they're all good to go so we can continue on with the rest of the form of the fender weld. Looking in here, you can see how we made everything mount to the factory edge, so when you look at it all in one piece, it just, everything flows in like if it was made that way. You know, once we get it all mounted and attached to there, you ain't gonna know that we ever even did this. Where's it going? All right, thanks guys, appreciate it, man.
Charlie's laying out the fiberglass mat to mend this thing all together. It's gonna be super strong and super light. Fernando is filling in all the little cracks and crevices with body filler, so it's gonna be and we just got this thing back from powder coat. Everything looks good as it always does. Chad is going to be ecstatic. It matches with everything in his collection. So just going to put everything in this tongue box. All the essentials to make this thing work is all right here. Cool. What we got so far, obviously the battery, air compressor, and 3 sets of valves. So we have a valve for the tongue, a valve for the left, a valve for the right. No matter what the load is, if it's offset load, you can add a little more pressure to the left. Or if you got a little more weight on the right, you add a little more pressure to the right. Ready for that tank. Yeah. Cool, we got everything mounted in place. Only thing left to do is just wiring and run some lines. That's it. Every Sunday. They're going to be showing up here any minute to his new bar, so I figure what better place to give him his trailer.
Wow. Look at that.
That's freaking awesome. Man, damn, bro, that's freaking sick. I didn't even imagine this, bro. That's over the top.
So good.
That is insane.
So you got to have the orange bike, I know.
Man, you know, I wouldn't accept it if it wasn't. So it's perfect.
It's full air suspension. Of course, you know, it has 3 bags. It has a bag on each wheel and a bag on the tongue. So you can leave this thing hooked up to any vehicle and drop this thing completely flat. So it's super stable. You know, you ride your bike right up on it, strap it down, air it up, you're good to go.
It doesn't get much better than that, bro.
Yeah, man.
When we talked about doing something like this, that's why we went to Bill. You know, I knew he'd come up with something that would work perfect for us, and just the fact that he can, you know, build something out of nothing is amazing.
Check it out. Let me show you how to work this thing.
Yeah, let's check this thing out.
Everything's inside here. All the switches. You see the tank, compressor, valving, everything is all in here. Hit the 2 switches, air the back up.
That's freaking awesome. That is awesome, bro. Man, that's insane. Oh, when Bill hit the switches, I mean, that was really cool.
Yeah.
For it to be 3 different bags, 3 different switches, you know, all fully adjustable, to be able to work behind any vehicle that we pull it behind is going to be really cool. Definitely feel safe putting my bike on it. And the last thing to see is how it fits on the trailer.
Yeah, hopefully it fits.
There you go.
Wow.
Man, that's insane.
Man, when Chad rode that bike up on the trailer, it's obvious it's 100% package complete now.
Perfect match.
Bro, that's
That
insane.
looks really good.
Man, this is way better than ramps, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
And cooler.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Definitely cooler. It definitely flows.
Flip this
That's
thing up,
awesome.
man. See how it picks it up.
8 voyage.
Oh, wow.
That is
So glad you got that.
Ready to go.
Yeah, this looks really good. The bike, the trailer, the truck. You did a fantastic job.
That's awesome, bro.
I am so happy that we had Bill build this for us. It just looks amazing, and I'm super excited to get it out on the road.
Now that the front suspension's all installed on the Baja, it's time to get that rear end in.
But I'm just hanging off the back. Make sure the truck don't go forward. Good?
Oh, we got to remove the factory leaf springs, but everything's in the way. The gas tank is coming off, and we're moving the exhaust just to get to that one bolt to get the springs out.
You're good? This is our factory leaf spring, and this is our new spring we got right now. You can see the difference. One's way thicker than the other one. Our new leaf springs packed with a whole lot more leaves for better absorption, whereas our factory one only has about 3. So this was pretty much made for potholes, and this was made for big ass jumps. And now we got the leaf springs on. We're gonna go ahead and throw the rear end on there and bolt it up. Whoop. All right, hold it. Get that side fastened down. We got the U-bolt plates. Hang on for a second, Rudy. When you're down on your luck, just hang in there.
Mesh in. All we need to do now is install the shocks, new wheels and tires, and it's ready for a test run. leaf springs on the Baja F-150. I love how this thing's turning out. With the big shocks, 16 inches of travel, attached to the new long travel leaf springs. I can't wait to get the big wide fenders on it and go test this thing out. Matter of fact, we'll put the wheels on it, go see what this thing can do. The stock tires just aren't going to cut it, so we're replacing it with 37-inch high-performance off-road tires. I really want to see how the suspension does, how it reacts when it hits bumps and dips, and there's all kind of little fine-tuning tricks that you can do to this type of suspension. But, don't know till you really put your foot to the floor and see what kind of reaction you get out of the truck itself, putting bigger tires on it. It's always a concern for not enough power. I call this the spot test. Spot size. That was fun. Man, overall, it was a good run. I mean, there's definitely some tuning on the shocks, but we got to get this thing up in the air, at least over spot. I mean, it shouldn't be very hard to do. We need a lot more power and a lot bigger jump. When I get back, I'm calling Justin and put me one bad turbo system on here, man. What's up, man?
So it's Carlton.
So I want to launch this thing, and it just don't have the power to do what we need to do.
Well, good thing you got this Coyote motor, man. These 5.0s are good platforms. We can do a single turbo, something that'll come in, hit hard, hit like nitrous, man. It'll be good for this pre-runner build. You can see about 20 horsepower per pound of boost.
It'll be enough for Bill.
No Bill, no telling.
What's the plan?
What we can do is we can use the factory flanges, and we can build from those flanges forward to our turbo.
All right, I guess start taking that exhaust down.
Since we're going to tie into the factory manifolds, it's easier just to go ahead and use the factory OEM flanges and build from this point forward. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut these off, and we're going to try to save it where we can use these O2 bones so we can use the factory flanges. Matt, this one should be ready, man.
You're a good start.
We'll start working on the hot side, which is everything on the turbine side of their turbocharger. Buddy Matt, he's going to start on the cold side, which is like the intake and the discharge off the compressor housing. The hot side of this turbo kit is what feeds the turbine wheel. That's where, I guess, the magic happens. The air comes in, and it pressures it up and pushes it out into the intake manifold.
A turbocharger is basically an air pump. It forces more air into the engine. You get more air.
This thing should spool really, really fast with the dual inlets feeding off of each bank of this 5-liter Coyote motor. So now we got the turbocharger bolted in. We're going to go ahead and start connecting to our intercooler.
Matt's trying to install the intercooler on the F-150, but it just won't fit.
End tanks were kind of hitting on the inside of the frame rails. So we went ahead and we cut them to get it to fit. Now we got to modify and fabricate new pieces so we can go ahead and put our inlets on our intercooler. After we cut it, the coupler that slides on there, it'll want to blow off. So we put a little bead around it to keep it from coming off. I'm going to cut it on the saw and then make our bend. Now that we have our end cap tacked into place, we got 2 more plates that we need to make, and then we can go ahead and weld this side out. Now that we have our end tanks modified on our intercooler where it fits in between the frame rails, we're going to go ahead and get it installed now.
Looks like it was made to be there.
We're going to give it a once over. We still got to run our oil supply line, our drain line. We got a couple fittings that we need to install. This is our downpipe on the exhaust fenders on. We'll know exactly where we need to go with it.
finishing up the body modifications on the front of this Baja.
We'll set the fenders up here and rough them in and see what we got.
Yeah. With way wider fenders and a fiberglass hood.
Right now, I'm making sure that the fiberglass fender doesn't hit none of the original mounts or on the cab or anything like that. So if it does, we're going to mark it now, trim it out, and then test fit it again and see how we look. Well, look at that. That's 100% better right there.
Let's grab the hood.
Let's do it.
Here we go.
This thing is going to be a beast.
Yeah, it's going to look real cool.
My dad always told me that when I was little, I loved getting those little die-cast model cars we had to put together. He would buy me one, and then he would see me put it together, and then he'd see me taking it apart, and then putting it together again. It was always a fascination in tearing apart vehicles and building something better than what we already had. Our biggest tool and one of my favorite tools is our plasma cutter. Before, there was plenty of parts that we would have to do hands-on, whereas now, computer does it all in what I would do before. Bill hates computers, and to me, computers is one of the biggest things I like to use. When we first got the machine, nobody really knew how to run it or who was going to run it, and I asked him, I was like, hey, so who's going to do it? And he just kind of like looked at me and was like, well, who else? Working with Bill, he does have high expectations for everybody, which is a good thing. He doesn't want anybody else to fail, because the way I see it is if we fail, then he fails. So, of course, he's going to want us to exceed in everything that we do, but of course, he always wants it done in 2 minutes. So.
Finished the frame and the bodywork on the Baja build, but one day I'm gonna sell it. So I'm gonna pick a paint color that's just gonna turn heads. Charlie Murphy.
So man, what you got now?
Man, I need to pick a color for the old Baja.
Man, what color are you thinking about?
Let me get this paint chip off and see what's up. Probably one of them too.
One of them too? That one right there?
That's it, man. I chose a burnt orange metallic that'll make this Baja look like none other.
So this is what we got here. This is the color that Bill wanted. It has a lot of pearl in it and a lot of metallic in it. And as you can see, it looks real good under the light. The first thing I painted when I was a kid, I painted a bicycle. You know, I started out rattle cannon, and you know, and it started from there, and everything just kind of escalated. And then I ended up painting a 71 GMC, which was, you know, my truck. Me and my uncle did it together, and that was an experience. And then from that point on, it was over for me. There was no going back. So this here is an unusual color for the Baja truck because half a gallon is pearl. Usually you got like 15, 20 grams. This one here's got 700 grams of pearl, and then it's got 600 grams of a different pearl, so that's half a gallon right there, you know what I mean? So this is gonna be beautiful out in the sun when he jumps over Spot's head.
When I see something in my head, I know I can do it. I know I can do it. This F-150 was a little rough when I first got it. We transformed it into a totally different truck. Dave is in for a huge surprise. He has no idea. I'm heading out with my guys to test out this Baja truck. As promised, I've invited Dave to come check it out.
Y'all got that truck done, huh?
You're gonna be blown away when you see this truck.
Really?
It's not the same truck that we got from you.
Damn, that is completely different.
Now I can say I told you so.
You sure that's the same truck? Damn, I cannot believe it.
Yeah, man. So you can do it.
Bill can do
Plus
it.
in typical Bill fashion, you know.
Gotta tear it up.
Told you.
You sure that's the same truck?
Promise you.
Come on. Bill, you sure that's the same truck?
Man, I can see why Dave is shocked. This thing doesn't look anything like it used to.
Well, you did a lot of work to that thing.
Man, a lot. Started off fixing the frame. We put the frame back together, so it's nice and straight now. The integrity's back in there.
I never would have thought you'd have been able to fix it.
We went ahead and took off all the old suspension, what was left of it, Threw on their new long travel suspension, put some big old shocks and coilovers in the front.
Man, it looks good.
Of course, you see the color change on the whole truck.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the grill, the bumpers, and the super wide fiberglass fenders and bedsides, man. That thing just looks so angry and pissed off when it's coming at you.
It does.
Little bed cage in the back holding the spares.
Sounds like I heard a turbo on that thing.
Yeah, man. You know, we had a little test drive and it just wasn't getting it, so it needed a little more power.
You gotta have more power. That's always.
Custom made a whole turbo setup for this truck. Big stainless exhaust piping through it, intercooler tubes, all that stuff. Did it right.
We're about to see how much power it's got.
Yeah.
Man, I said I wanted this thing to jump over Spot. Last time we couldn't even get it over Santa. Man, and now it's time to give it another try with that new turbo.
There we go. Very good. Come on. Go.
Whether it's dropping a vehicle down low, raising one up high, or jumping one through the air, you got to have a good team. And I got some of the best around. I can't thank my guys enough.
Bad.
There it is.
You got this. You got it.
Hell yeah.
Man, that's gonna work. I told you. I know. Yeah. Hey, Bill, I gotta tell you, I never thought you'd have pulled it off. Man, that truck was hit hard, and you made it come out good. I really like that thing back. You think we can do something around 75?
Oh, man, come on. That thing's still too new, man. I need a little bit. Let the new wear off. I'll give you first choice, man, when it comes time.
I'm interested. Let me know.
All right. I wasn't planning on selling this truck today, but, you know, after I'm big rack, so I get to have all the fun.
Yeah, exactly. All right, just remember, I like bling.
Oh, I know you do. You have a 69 Corvette there?
Sure is.
Unbolt the body off the frame and build a whole new chassis, new suspension. We got to wake this thing up.
Oh, I'm caught on something.
About 420 horsepower. This thing's a huge improvement.
I think it's gonna be cool as hell when it's finished.
What did you do to my car? I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal. You know, 20-something years ago, I never shop business. It just kind of evolved into what it is, and I definitely never thought I'd have a cool sound like that. I mean, that's impressive.
Now we know where we gotta go to work at.
You know, I can't say enough about my team, my guys. You know, we're all a big family. I can't say anything else, but I've been totally blessed. What do you guys think? Pretty cool, huh? You know, things have been going really good at the shop. This is just a sign of that. I feel like my business is actually legitimized now that you get an actual sign up on the building. You know, it's crazy to think, growing up on this property, I never, ever thought it would ever become what it is. You know, coming from where I come from, I come to work with a mindset, this can all go away. You know, we gotta stay hungry. We've been super busy, busier than ever. All these builds coming into the shop, every one of them is an opportunity to push our creativity even more. Big John said he might be in the neighborhood today, so he's just stopping by to check on progress.
Hey, Bill, how you doing?
What's happening, John?
Same old, same old. How's everything?
Going good. How's that old milk truck doing?
Wonderful. I mean, it looks great. Runs good.
Good.
Family
Man, that's
love.
always good to hear.
Wow.
Things transformed a little bit from when it came in.
It looks totally different.
John's 1950 Ford F5 came in rough shape. It's taken months of work to get it to this point. It's just one of the coolest COEs you can find anywhere. You know, COEs have gotten pretty popular lately in the custom scene. The COE means cab over engine, which the engine sits way back and it has a short snub nose and sits up a little higher than, you know, a regular one-ton truck. As far as the interior, we got the dash all smoothed out. You know, it had a bunch of holes in the dash and a bunch of
And the
crap
doghouse
everywhere.
is fantastic.
John's had just about every kind of custom car, and he really is drawn to the COEs because they're totally different. He bought this truck online. Someone grafted another set of front doors onto the back, then we picked it up from there. New latches on it, new door handles.
It's gonna be beautiful.
You know, once we get the front end back on, we'll build you some running boards that tie right back into the bed, bolt right up. You see, we already got the basic shape and style here, but we're going to build a headache rack that goes over and then molds into the bed also.
All right, just remember, I like bling. You know.
Oh, I know you do. And what color are you thinking on this? I know you have a color preference.
We've been leaning towards an orange.
Just a bright orange?
Bright orange. No, nobody else has a 1950 crew cab like mine. When I see what he's done so far in the mid-build, I'm really getting excited to see the finished product.
And we got a little surprise for you back here. Well, we're going to keep that a surprise, too.
I knew you'd do that. We're there with it. I know Bill's going to do a fantastic job on it. He's got some surprises for me. And he didn't let me down on the milk truck. I don't expect him to let me down on this one. I'm going to let you get after it. See you later. Take care. See you later.
Good to see you, John.
Bye-bye.
Really cool part about having a custom shop is getting to let your creativity shine. When long projects like this, where you're doing body work all day, you're doing metal work all day, I hate it. I'm an instant gratification guy. I want to see progress every day. We've done a ton of work to this to get to this stage. This is really starting to where it gets fun, but you know, the work isn't over. The work's just starting on a different level. That all is part of the puzzle along the way. Getting to the end of the puzzle is a big Man, oh, Big John seemed like he was pretty happy about the bed when he stopped by.
Man, I saw you over here talking. He looked overall happy with the whole truck.
Yeah, he loves it.
Gentlemen, here we are again.
You already know this thing's been here a while. It's been a long road to get this thing to where it was at. You know, it was old rat rod style, just nothing fit, nothing lined up.
50% done?
Just about that. Once it's in this stage, man, I really think we're on the downhill slope for sure. We're going to build a cool custom headache rack to fit the side of the cab to make it fit this truck. I want to incorporate a wood bed on top of this, but not just sitting on top. I want it recessed down into the bed, and I want to bring that wood down on the running boards also.
Man, that'll be a cool touch.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody do that.
Plus, it makes it look like it all goes with the truck. It all ties
through. So, anything else you're thinking?
You know, Big John told me he's got to have the bling, so he wants chrome accents everywhere. Chrome grill, chrome bumpers, chrome mirrors, chrome handles. You know, with a nice bright orange, this thing is going to be really cool and stand out.
You want everything bright, shiny?
Absolutely. Okay. So we definitely... We're going with a Western Holler look. A real clean flatbed with a little something extra. It's time to get John busy on this metal work.
So, man.
Ready to get going on this thing?
Yes, sir.
Now's the fun part. Now we can really start to get creative with this thing and show what we can do.
So I get to have all the fun?
Yeah. What I want to do is incorporate, you know, like bed wood in a flatbed. And I also want you to start building the running boards on this. And I want wood inset in the running boards too. So you can actually use it. You can step on it and not have to worry about messing the paint up. I think bringing the color of the wood as a contrast to the bright orange paint that's going to be on here, this thing is really going to stand out and be a huge surprise for him.
So we're going to have to use nothing but the finest orange tree wood.
We're leaving it up to you, buddy.
It's time to get to work. So we're going to start making this running board here. So what I'm going to do first is cut me out a piece of square tubing for this outside edge, and then start cutting out everything else I need to bolt that to the cab, bolt onto the fender, bolt onto the bed, so it's removable. What I want this to do is fit real snug up against here. Just almost perfect, and then hit it with a grinder to make it perfect. This is it. This is going to be the perfect fit.
The design we're going with on the running board is going to kind of represent the shape of the bed. We're going to have some nice sharp corners in its design. So once this is all tacked up in place, I'll break these bars off and you'll be able to see what I've created on this outside edge.
So the purpose of these marks that I'm making is just a reference of where I need to bend it. I'll hit it on the opposite side of that mark, which will bend it the way that I need it to hug this fender tightly. This fender likes tight hugs, in case you're wondering. Now we gotta poke some holes. Now I got the structure of the running board. I'm gonna throw some ribs in here to connect the outside to the inside where it's gonna be bolted up to the cab and start building the frame for the wood inserts.
What's that?
So, we're gonna have to take a little tamale break. We'll be back to you shortly.
On the bed of this COE, I want the design to flow from the front, seamless wood inlay. Now I got the running board drawn out. Now I know exactly how to shape the wood inserts that are gonna get cut out on the CNC table. After we cut our blanks out of MDF just to build off of, we use cheap MDF. That way there's no worries if it gets burnt and messed up. We could go back and cut the hardwood out with the same file and it'll be the exact same dimensions. And all we have to do is drop those in for final assembly. Let's see what we got here. Nice. Now I'm gonna start making all the metal trim that goes around here. What we're about to do is cut out some 18 gauge sheet metal. And then we're gonna cut down some strips about 1 inch wide, break it right in the middle and make 90-degree angles. And what I'm gonna do is form that to fit around those wood templates that we got. So we can set that into the running board. And what this is gonna be is just a big frame for the wood. This is gonna look really nice. You know, one of the cool parts about being this busy, we get the chance to really work on some iconic rides. You know, some of them we never even had a chance to work on before. And putting our spin on them for the... Hey, what's happening?
Hey, how you doing? Josh, just driving in from Austin. Nice to meet you, Bill.
Nice to meet you.
Tim. Hey, Tim, nice to meet you.
What do you have, a 69 Corvette there?
Sure is.
Well, let's check it out.
All right.
The 69 Stingray was part of the third generation of Corvettes. At the time, it was the height of American muscle. Man, that's a good looking car.
Thanks.
And these little Stingrays are always going to be classic. Just the body lines, the way everything looks, they're just an iconic car.
Yeah, I got that ducktail rear end.
They're timeless. Like, you can have them another 50 years and they'll still be in style.
Yeah, this was a classic year.
Josh, what are you seeing, man? You want to change the color on this thing, or?
No, I like the color. I think it's got a pretty good paint job. But being from Austin, you know, just all the hills and stuff, it needs to drive better.
Definitely.
Man, this car is really special to me. I got it from a friend, and, you know, it looks great. The car just stops traffic. If it drove as good as it looks, that would be my dream.
Heck yeah. So keep the original look, just with a lot of performance.
Perfect. That's exactly what I want.
Josh, I think to make this thing really, really cool, handle good, ride good, we just need to unbolt the body off the frame and just start over. Build a whole new chassis, new suspension, and make this thing really exciting to drive.
You can do that?
Hell yeah.
That would be fantastic.
And the side pipe
look, yeah.
I mean, it looks great, but man, they're a little tired. I think maybe even making these things out of stainless, polish them up, just be a total package then.
Boy, I wasn't really thinking about that when I rolled up, but now that you mention it, man, that just makes the picture perfect.
Josh, what we got under the hood?
Let me show you. You can see it's just a stock 350.
Out of the factory, the 69 Stingray with its fiberglass body and its small block made it top of the line. However, these days we can do a lot better. Man, Josh, with the brand new frame, new suspension, we need something with a lot more power. I'm thinking LS in this thing and really wake it up.
Man, if you're going to do all that, it's going to need a 6-speed in it.
Yeah.
You put a 6-speed in this car being so light, it's just going to be fun to drive.
Man, that'd be a 1-2 punch. Man, this thing, you're going to be able to just get in it, turn the key, and go all the way to California if you want to. All that power in Austin, up and down those hills. Man, am I excited.
And the inside looks good. Just the only thing you need is a stereo in this thing. Something with a nice sound in it.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it wide open to you. I know y'all come up with something.
Josh, if that sounds good, man, let's get this thing unloaded and get going. Let's make it happen.
All right, Bill. Nice to meet you, Josh. Thanks, Tim. Yes, sir.
Some years on it. This thing still has great styling. It looks really good, in great shape. You know, this old vet like this is always going to be just timeless. The body itself it's a work of art. In the 60s, you know, this thing was top of the line. You know, everybody talks about how much power they had, how well it handled. You know, that's all you hear growing up. To today's standards, you know, a family sedan is outperforming this thing right off the assembly line. And, you know, that's sad.
Hey, go ahead and top it off for me when you're done.
This guy.
Look good in there, Rudy.
Like my new car?
Whole lot better than them glasses.
What are you talking about? You guys don't know anything about style.
Well, what does have style is a 1969 Corvette, right?
Oh, yeah.
What isn't stylish is the suspension under this thing.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with that.
We got to wake this thing up. We're going to start by lifting this thing up, unbolting the chassis, dropping it down, and rolling it out and starting fresh. We'll get some metal off the shelf and just start building a new frame for this thing. We're hand making a better performance. We got to be super careful with this fiberglass shell, or it'll create a ton of structural issues. A 20-inch wheel and tire with some meat on the back of this thing.
Something to put the power to the ground.
That's it. New independent front suspension, front and rear. New engine, manual transmission.
We're just gonna rip out everything old on this thing and give it a new extensive style.
That's it. We're gonna keep the body of this thing. I mean, look at it. It's in great shape. I mean, it's showing some wear, though.
Yeah.
We're going to wet sand and buff it and just make it look like it would have looked in 1969.
It's going to look good.
Well, let's get this thing up on the lift. Let's get going on and get it tore down. Start building this thing. Don't forget your safety glasses.
Man, go ahead and take them off so y'all stop ridiculing me on me. My cool glasses. We'll be back, baby. Yo, Tim!
I'm coming.
The fiberglass body is already fragile. With this 50-year-old fiberglass body, we got to be super careful.
All right, got it.
When you're tearing apart a chassis on a metal body, no problem. Shape this, hammer that, make it work. Totally different with the fiberglass body. You got to work with what's there. There's no shaping this. There's no reconstructing without causing yourself a whole lot of issues later. With the whole frame. Might leave this. Got a whole radiator in the whole spot and everything.
Yeah. I'll just take this one, wipe it off.
And Rudy, that bolt's never coming out. Between the fiberglass and all these bolts, a lot of people would think twice before tearing this chassis out. However, that's not to say it doesn't need replacing. Most of these bolts were weathered and rusted together. So if this car would have been metal, it'd probably be rusted through.
What do you think?
Let's find out. Here, go up.
Whoa!
I'm caught on something.
Tim and Rudy pulling out the chassis of the 1969 Stingray so we can build one custom. As usual around here, it's easier said than done.
A lot of these boats have nuts on the backside of them, which are tucked in behind little small crevices. Oh, right here for the body mount in the back. And if you look in here, there's one more bolt here for the body. I mean, look at that. Once you take that lid off, come to find out this car used to actually be yellow. The secrets you find with tearing these cars apart.
Corvettes, just one thing after another. You never would have thought it had taken this long just to find all the bolts, but we're going to get this body separated here in about 5 minutes. Ready?
Ready. this thing out?
Gladly.
Check it out, Tim.
It looks really good, Rudy.
Make sure it don't hit the ground. Perfect.
One of the first steps in the whole frame building process is finding out where everything goes. We make most of our custom chassis on a table before we install them. You know, there's not a lot of room underneath this fiberglass body, so we got doing something we don't normally do. We're gonna build the chassis right to the body. You know, that way it's gonna fit 100% on the first try. So the first thing's finding center of the fender well for the wheel and spindle.
Hey, when you go back just a hair.
This way?
Yeah.
There's a lot of adjusting, a lot of tweaking, a lot of moving to find that sweet spot. Man, I like how that looks on this car. Everything is exactly in line, both directions. We know exactly how much room we have to build the frame around. So next step is to get started.
We got some 2x4 tubing. We're gonna run down both sides, connect it across the back, then we'll build the rear subframe off of that.
Go ahead and just plasma it out real quick.
So we're going to plasma out the tubing so the DOM can slide in here. We'll cut a little bigger so we'll have room to play. That's what's going to connect the body to the frame rails.
This will go to the bottom of the car. The bolts will go through and hold it tight. When we drop the frame, we'll weld the tops all the way around.
This is going to be our 4-link mount. This is what's going to connect the rear subframe to the main frame of the car. Now the structure of the 4-link mount is made. This is the rear subframe. This will be the main frame. Once the whole frame welded out, this frame's going to be extra strong and be perfect for what Josh wants to do in the hills of just and see what he can do.
I bet your favorite teacher was an arts and crafts teacher, huh?
No, not really, because she was an old, mean-ass lady. John's made great progress on the F5 COE bed, so now we can move to the headache rack. You know, the truck itself has some great styling, so we're going to emulate that into the style and curves in the back little headache rack. You know, there's the inside and outside to this thing, so I want to get the inside piece to have the exact same line as the outside. It's super difficult to get in between there and kind of get back and trace, so thinking I'll use just a light and a little shadow right there. We'll have a perfect line to trace, and then it'll match up perfect.
Now we got everything traced out. Now it's time to cut out these metal parts. Since these pieces are so big, you got to kind of plan out where you're going to cut first and where you're going to end until the big pieces fall. And always make sure you wear steel-toe boots when stuff is landing on you. When I first started out welding, when I was young, maybe like 12, 13, my dad told me, I'm getting you a grinder for Christmas. I seen your welds. Damn.
Tack it in, have it right up against it, and then it just naturally curve up. Alright, cool. Get that other piece up here. This thing's really taking shape. I love the flow of it. It fits the truck very well. So the next step is just making a bunch of filler pieces.
And make the final cap at the corner. Not only is this curved this way, but it's also twisted as it curves. So it got me some reference marks drawn out there. And once I connect them from side to side, you'll see how I'm gonna have to force my brakes in this metal to make it roll and kind of twist at the same time. Then take it over to the English wheel, form it a little bit. So on the English wheel, the top wheel is flat, and the bottom wheel has a contour to it. And as you roll the metal through here, it kind of shapes the sheet metal to the lower wheel and gives it that radius that the lower wheel has. Make sure you could go put this on us in it. You know, you want it to be smooth, so this is the best way of doing that. Now we gotta weld this out, but we can't run a consistent bead because it'll generate too much heat, so we gotta move it around. If not, this piece will just deform on you, warp, and it won't look too well.
to see progress on these big builds. The headache rack and bed are taking shape on this F5 COE. So much to the point, we can plot out where the wood's gonna be. Ready to get this wood laid out?
Yep.
We'll go with all the same spacing that's on the running boards, 2 inch on the outer side, 1.5 inch in the inside, just to give a little style to it.
Yeah.
You don't want to give John something a little different, something nobody's really seen before, that shows everyone we don't take a car in just to get it done. We want to build it with passion.
Now we got all the big pieces of floor out. Now I got to notch all the bracing down about 1 inch to accommodate the 3/4 inch hardwood that's going to go in there, plus the bracing that I got to build around it. We don't want these bracing to fill up with water when you're driving in the rain, if it gets caught in the rain. So we got to cap it, seal it up, and then once that's done, we can build all the frame for the wood inserts. That's why Daddy gave me a grinder all those years ago. Thanks, Dad.
Because we're building the chassis of the 1969 Corvette directly to the body of the car, we're going to put the motor and trans in place and build everything else around it. Came in, huh?
I did.
2012 Camaro, about 420 horsepower, and this thing's a huge improvement.
Man, 6-speed, the car's so short, low to the ground, and all the new suspension, it's just gonna run, drive like a little go-kart all the time. All we do now is slide it in, and get it leveled, and I think we're ready.
We go back a little bit.
Ooh. You hit right there now.
Catching the top a little bit. Hit the back up. Tight. Man, it's a whole lot of power in this car. I'm gonna have a whole bunch of fun with this motor.
You talking about whenever you level it up and get it centered? Good job.
No, man, I'm talking about when I'm driving it.
Our next step is to put a cross member for the chassis that'll hold both sides together and keep the engine in place.
So I just went ahead and drew my center line. That way I know when I match everything up, everything's gonna be nice and straight, center, parallel. Center lines are your best friends.
Level this. We look centered in the wheel well, Rudy?
Yeah. We're attaching our final pieces to connect our front frame section to our actual frame. Normally people would usually just use 2 mounts, but we're gonna go ahead and reinforce it with 3, only because it's a fiberglass body, and so any vibration can start cracking at any point. All we have to do now is make a pipe that's going to connect the bracket to the frame. I like to grab a little small piece of copper tubing because it's easy for me to work the shape out by hand. We want to keep the front end as rigid as possible. We don't want this fiberglass to crack. Once the fiberglass cracks, this thing is whack. So I have my pipes cut out. Now I have to go ahead and bend it to match this angle. And then we'll just throw a little weld on there. Our piece is going to be bending underneath the radiator here.
That looks pretty good, Rudy. Building the chassis to the Corvette body took some extra engineering, but now it's super strong and in the perfect place to build the front suspension off of.
Do your thing, weld it out right there. Cool, let's do it.
We do it with a bare coilover, it's easier just for everything to clear. And a lot of the Pro Touring cars, the high-powered cars that are trying to get into the corners and make it handle real stiff, they're going to these coilovers, which is we're going to do the same on this car. What this is going to do is a spring will hold the car up. If we raise this up, car raise up 1 inch. You want to lower the car, it'll allow the spring to collapse the same amount, and the car actually lower. What the shock does, this just keeps the car solid. If you want a little stiffer ride, you add a little bit more shock. Less, you add a little less shock. So it's a perfect setup for these Pro Touring style cars.
With the front suspension in place, we can fit the C4 differential to the rear. Things looking good, that's perfect placement for this thing. But we're so limited of room underneath here. By the time we get the lower arms on, the spindles on, the 4-link, we want the coilover back up front. So the body here is in the way. And so let's go ahead and cut all this out so we got plenty of room to mock the shock up. And this is one of the last things we got to do to this chassis. Rudy, you be able to ride in style. Put them glasses back on.
Where are your glasses? You go back to my sister.
To leave the classic body, stop. But if we had to cut anything, it'd be these storage boxes that sit behind the seat that folks hardly used anyway. Because we need so much more room for the coilover and a couple extra braces, we're just gonna take these boxes completely out of the way, and all the structure of the car is gonna stay up in here, so we kept all that. These storage boxes, they can go and it won't hurt nothing at all.
Because we went with a wider wheel and a lot deeper offset, there's a whole lot less real estate underneath the 69 Corvette for the suspension. So we're gonna have to modify the C4 suspension that we're putting in this to fit perfect.
Now we have the rear end locked up in place. What we're gonna do is put a spindle on the wheel, put the wheel up here in place, and make sure the wheel is centered in the wheel well. You know, we don't want the wheel too far out, but then obviously it's gonna hit the outside of the fender. It's gonna either tear up our fiberglass or it's gonna start tearing up our tire on our wheel. We definitely don't need that.
Is that where you want it, Rick? Look good? Level, centered in the wheel well?
Yeah.
Now everything's set right where we want it. First thing we're gonna do is make the bars that connect the frame to the spindle, which is gonna be the 4-link.
Our center pieces for our 4-links, typically they're a little bit longer than this, but with our car being so small and compact, is what we're gonna get. But it's gonna work. So go ahead and tack these up, weld them all out, and our 4-links will be done. Want to trace the top of this? When you're driving down the road, you want the wheels to be in alignment at all times. So I'm making a camber bar to give the suspension more rigidity. How's that look?
That's good out here.
So moving on, we're gonna go ahead and start installing our coilover.
For the most part, the rear suspension is fitting well, except for the drive shafts that are just too big. Rudy's gonna cut these, use them for mock-up. We'll take them to the drive shaft specialist to have brand new ones made.
And there she goes. Cutting, cutting. Woo! Perfect. We're gonna keep this one. We're gonna measure 1 3/4 and cut it out. Cool, there we go. It's the excess we don't need no more, so we'll get rid of that. This is what we need now. Mock it up on the car. That'll be our mock-up drive shaft.
Ooh, this thing looking good. You know, the new frame looks so nice and rigid. This thing is gonna be a blast to drive around on the hills and through the curves. So you ready to get it separated? Let's get this thing off the powder coat and really make it shine.
Successfully remove the body from the frame. A whole lot easier than doing it from the factory frame.
The chassis is just getting back from powder coat, so I got Justin making brand new headers and side pipe. It'll give it a meaner, way more custom look.
So we're about to start the build on these headers for the 69 Corvette. It's going to be a side-mounted exhaust with the muffler integrated into it. One of the key things on building a set of custom headers is you need to look and find out which one's going to be your hardest tube to place. In this case right here, it's going to be this front runner. So we're going to start from right here, and we're going to build this tube all the way out to hold our collect until we get the other 3 out. You can see right here, we got a lot of bends and twists on this exhaust system. Reason being is we have a lot of components that we need to try to avoid, like our steering shaft, our motor mount. So we're gonna end up doing some 45s or some pretty steep bends to get it to clear. These things are gonna be crazy looking when we get done with them. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna go ahead and get this first tube marked. We're gonna go to the table and tack it. Then we're gonna start tacking our next tube until we get out to our collector. You know, I mean, it's a lot of cutting, welding, grinding, until you end up with a finished product that you're happy with. What we're using is a 304 stainless material. The material we're using is twice as thick almost as your traditional headers. Stainless is a little bit tougher to cut, so it's a little bit harder on your blades, and the welding process is totally different. I'm using a TIG weld to give it a cleaner, smaller seam than a regular weld, and that's what you're looking for on exposed stainless steel headers. But the finished product is you got a header that'll last forever, it won't rust, and it looks cool as hell when it's finished. All right, now that we got everything tacked up, we can go ahead and test fit it on the car, make sure everything's good, and then work on our side pipes. We can start from our V-band down, and that's going to be the fun part where we'll get to add the muffler, kind of quieten it down a little bit so it sounds a little bit more street friendly. From here, we're going to go ahead and slide a 3-inch tube in here to come out almost to the end of where our side exit is going to be. What we're going to end up doing is sliding a 4-inch tube over the 3-inch tube, and what that's going to do, it's going to serve as a heat shield to help protect his leg if he ever touches it. After this is welded out and polished, it's just going to look like one straight 4-inch pipe from the collector all the way out to the tip. We'll go ahead and weld these out, repeat the process on the other side, and these pipes will be good to go.
Now that we got this 1969 Corvette to 21st century performance standards, it's time to fix that stereo. So John's gonna make a handmade modern day speaker box.
You know, a Corvette is all about its nice smooth lines and curves. So same thing with the box. We don't want just a square enclosure in here. We're gonna put a little something to it, still make it nice and rugged and durable and usable. What I'm doing here is I'm just kind of sketching out my shape that I want on the front of this box. This is actually going to be the front side where the seats sit. Once I get the sides cut, the next thing I'll do is actually cut the opening in the top here and let it follow the curve that I put in this side panel here. So basically when I'm kerfing something, I just move my saw blade every 1/4 inch so it leaves enough meat in there to hold together. If you go in too deep, it'll end up breaking off. So you want to make sure you just get the right height set on your blade and just move the fence over and over and over.
You know, me growing up, no really direction of what I want to do. I know I didn't want to go to college. That college wasn't for me.
Sure wasn't for me either. I mean, to be honest, I didn't even finish high school. You know, I got halfway there and I couldn't learn by reading a book or listening to a teacher or anything. The only way I learned was by using my hands.
Yeah.
And my dad, fortunately, had a shop established already, so after school I would go and mess around with stuff. He seen what I could do and my mom seen what I could do, and they figured I was wasting teachers' time, so.
Yeah. And everybody learns different. You know, for me, it's getting out, making the mistakes, and learning from the mistakes.
Exactly.
You know, that's how I learned doing what we do. That's how you get good at doing what you do, is making those mistakes, and everybody's going to make them. Learn from them. Go from there. Better yourself from that.
Messed up a whole lot of stuff, huh?
Right? Still do. You see a lot of Corvette bodies laying around custom shops totally unfinished. And now we definitely know why. Adding custom suspension and a chassis is a lot of work. To my team's credit, we're almost through the tunnel. Once John's finished installing the custom speaker box, it's time to give this thing back to Josh.
This thing's turned out looking awesome. So all I got left to do now is carry it over, plug it in, set it in the car, and I think he's gonna like it. Oh, squeeze. Thanks, sir.
Already?
Man, like a glove. Might need to wash the car a little bit.
Was definitely a challenge for us, but man, just looking at the stance of this car and just the overall look at it, we definitely all did our job. This thing looks badass.
Deal, Bill. Look at that.
What's happening, man?
Hey, how you doing, dude? What did you do to my car? I love it.
What do you think, man?
Man, oh man. You outdid yourself.
Man, you got here just in time. I thought Rudy was going to take off with it.
I would too if I were here.
Me and her had a good emotional connection. So I took really good care of her for you.
Oh, it looks like it. Oh man, this is fantastic. You know, I really like the look of the car, and I didn't really know how it was going to turn out, but now I'm really tickled.
Yeah, working on this car was a complete new experience for us. With it being a fiberglass body, we had to be extra precautious, even just tearing it down.
I mean, it definitely had some challenges. Took out that old engine, took out the whole chassis. We just had this thing up on the lift, leveled it all up, and started building the frame piece by piece to the car.
Boy, it ought to drive like a rocket.
Man, absolutely. We know you wanted that C4 suspension on this thing, with the upper and lower aluminum control arms, aluminum spindle. It looks really cool underneath the car, especially with the addition of the coilovers on this thing.
No kidding.
Everything underneath this car is 100% brand new.
Oh, that's what I wanted.
These wheels and tires are a huge upgrade too with the low pro to 20s. That's really going to help the handling of this thing also.
Yeah, they almost look stock.
Yeah.
On the outside, it still looks like a 69 vet. And then you start looking through the wheels and you start seeing body parts that you know don't go on that car. Yeah. They're super upgraded.
Especially the side pipes on this thing too. The other ones, just were
tired.
We need to upgrade. You definitely got that.
And y'all custom made those?
We had Justin build you a one-off set of headers and side pipes on this thing that really just wake this thing up.
No kidding. Those crazy side pipes and headers are unbelievable. Built by hand, one of a kind. How's it run?
Man, that old tired 350 in that thing is long gone. You got a new 6.2 in here, has a ton of horsepower. We know you like the manual transmission. I had a 4-speed in it, now it has a 6-speed. So this thing's gonna be fun to drive.
I'll bet. Yeah, you did me a custom shifter too, that's really cool.
With all this extra power, I know you're gonna spend a lot of time in this thing, so we definitely had to upgrade the stereo in this thing. It's got 6-inch full range speakers and 1,000 watts of power.
Wow.
You won't have any trouble hearing this thing.
No, I won't have to sing to myself anymore.
Man, Josh, there's only one way to really see it out.
Thanks, Rudy.
All right, no problem, Josh. You take good care of her now.
I will. Whoa. I love it. I can't say enough about this car. It's just over the top. Thanks, Extensive. Man, you guys blew it out of the park. I knew you could do it.
It's crazy to think how much time we put into the metalwork and the bed of the Ford COE already. And I feel like we're just getting started. This looks good. I know it's a lot of work, man, but this is definitely going to pay off.
Man, John's really going to love this thing when he gets it back.
He can't not. Let's get the panels in here. Shoot, if they all fit good, let's get it off the powder coat. We still have to make the suspension, bedwood, custom interior, and paint. And wouldn't you know it, Big John just called with one more thing he wants to do. Man, this looks real good.
Once we get that good wood in here with that paint separating the panels,
yes,
man, it's going to look really nice.
Absolutely. It's going to look totally unique, totally set it apart from anything else. We'll forget about all that hard work once. It's part of the whole custom scene. Everybody's always looking to be bigger, better, and one of a kind. And this one, now we have even more metal work to do.
Oh, whoa. Stop. Got a dog house for the dog, a big dog.
This 2001 Ford F-350. 6 months ago, this was just a beat-up old work truck. And even after all that, there's still just something missing.
Oh my God,
Holy
Bill, that
cow.
is sick right there, man.
When big parts start coming together, it makes for a good day.
This is going to be one of my favorites that we've ever done.
Awesome.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal. Man, Bill, so glad you came with me to pick up this engine. Well, I'm not going to miss the time to come out and see old John and his cool car collection. And everybody's been talking about. We're months deep in customizing John's F5 Ford COE with tons of custom metalwork. He wants us to swing by his place because he wants to add a new engine. Once again, a A super big build is getting even bigger. And, gotta check up on the old milk truck, see how it's doing.
Absolutely.
Hey, Bill. Spot, how y'all doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful.
You working?
Yeah, just rubbing on this rascal a little bit. You doing all right?
Heck yeah.
How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing fine.
Man, this thing's still looking good.
Put some miles on it, having a good time.
Running good?
It's still running great. I tell you, I enjoy the heck out of it.
We built a milk truck from ground up for Big John last year. Tons of custom metal work, full interior, and a big old diesel engine. Seeing the milk truck again, that just reaffirms that we really got to keep the bar high on this one.
Yeah, keep pushing the bar to build an even better vehicle than we built before.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely still my favorite build that's ever come out of the shop. But amongst all these other cars, what a collection.
You hadn't seen them all. There's still other garages.
No kidding.
I've known John for a long time. Since I was a kid, we're a lot alike. Always looking to make his builds bigger and better. Always. We planned on keeping the existing engine on the COE, but in this game, the only thing you can count on is things are definitely going to change.
Well, you know how I like diesels. I like this Ford diesel in this one.
Yeah.
Let's do something different. Let's put a Cummins in the next one.
Man, I like that. I love, that's part of it. Just that diesel sound, that smell, man, that'll make it.
I think so. Putting the diesel in the COE, it's the only way to go. They're bigger trucks. They need a diesel. This is what I want you to put in this COE. Is a Cummins 4BT 12 valve, 3.9 liter with a 4-speed automatic tranny on it.
John, I think it's a great idea. Having the diesel in the COE is definitely the right way to go. Even being a 4-cylinder, this thing can still make some good power.
It'll make that COE run good.
The Cummins 4BT is a turbocharged 3.9 liter. It's a small version of the super popular 12 valve. It still packs a ton of power, but size-wise, it's a way better fit for the COE.
This is probably going to be your new favorite.
Nah, this is my favorite.
Oh, no.
Well, then
it's going to be a tough decision.
I'll have two favorites.
You ready to load this up?
Let's load this rascal up.
Let me get the truck.
Yeah, go back it in. I'll get the forklift.
Work on the COE. And it's even going to take more work to make this diesel engine fit.
Clear over there?
This way? Cool. The truth is, if it were my truck, I definitely want the same thing. Come, Timmy. What you got on that truck out there? Little engine? Little diesel engine. Old John? Milk truck John? Yeah. He loves how that diesel is in his milk truck. He said he just had to have a diesel in the COE.
So all the work with the old 350s in it, taking all that out, all the sheet metal, everything.
Whatever we're going to do to make it fit. We've already made a custom Western hauler style bed, running boards, and a whole headache rack. It's all at powder coat. Now we have even more metal work to do.
What do you want to get started on first?
First things first, we're got to pull out that small block, get rid of that sucker, and let's start doing what we got to do to get that diesel in. The Cummins 4BT has some components on the side that makes this thing a little wider than the 350. So you already know that creates a lot of work in making a whole new doghouse. And we're going to be adding new front bag mounts to the front suspension to haul that extra weight. Then we can add the wood into the bed and the running boards.
This thing orange or what?
Big John's definitely got to have it orange.
And the orange, the big billet wheels, and now the diesel motor kind of completes the whole project of the truck.
Definitely. The milk truck's going to have a little competition beside it when it gets back home. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Alrighty, buddy. Pull that hood off.
Alright. To make room for the new Cummins engine, Ryan and John are going to start by taking out the old small block 350.
That's one way to do it.
So is.
It looks like there's no way to get that out. This cross mover right here is going to really hang us up on getting the bottom of this thing out.
I seen that coming.
Sucks.
I had a feeling this was going to happen, but it was worth a shot. We were hoping we'll just remove the front end and we're about to get the engine out the front of the truck. But clearly that's not gonna happen because we got a front cross member here and we don't want to cut that out. So, more work.
To pull the engine out, we gotta make room. So we're gonna take the radiator off and then the motor mounts. You ready? Yeah. You hung up on something.
This wire right here, hold on. I got it, hold on. Temperature sensor wire, all right?
Nice. That'll make life a little easier, huh?
A little bit.
Hey, stop.
I need the chain to be as short as possible, though.
I understand that. You're hitting the distributor cap. You're about to knock it off. When you're building custom cars and trucks, it seems like they never end. We're always constantly changing and evolving and coming up with bigger, badder stuff. And this is no different.
Right there?
Come down here. All right. Pull the motor your way here.
See what we got.
All right. Go ahead.
Basically a brand new engine, huh?
Yeah. He could probably throw it in one of his other projects and we can put something way cooler in this one, huh?
Yeah, diesel power.
Yeah, buddy.
Well, you know, John always gets what he wants, so.
Hey.
I wish I was that John.
In the running boards. So I asked Lewis to help me pick the right wood to accent that orange paint. What's up, man?
How you doing, man?
This is the color we got. Lamborghini orange for that COE. You know, the wood's going to be pretty prominent on the bed of this thing and down in the running board. So it's really going to stand out. But I want something, you know, with a nice grain to it. What is this?
So that one's alder right there. That's a really white wood, so we could add a stain to that. This one's oak. We have walnut here. This is cherry. We have mahogany, and this one's lacewood.
Man, I like that.
We can add a little bit of solvent to it. You know, you can kind of see the natural appearance and the figure of that grain. And our mahogany, and then our walnut.
Man, I think these two.
Yeah, man.
You know, I love the grain in this thing. I think majority lacewood with little separation of mahogany.
Yeah, man.
That would be nice.
Yeah, wood. Yeah, this lacewood, when it's in the sun, it's just going to pop at you. All of the grain running like that, that sun's going to hit it. It's going to be beautiful.
Cool.
All right, man.
Let's do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we got the engine compartment cleared out. Now it's time to fit the Cummins. Typical. As everything else around it being a little bit wider and obviously a lot bigger than that little 350 that was in here. So what I'm gonna do is keep as much of the firewall as I can because height isn't an issue, it's just width. So I'll just cut all the way back and hopefully I'll be able to save this chunk and just move it over an inch. Also gonna trim the frame rails to make a little bit of room and then plate it, boxing it in. That way when I do get this motor in here, I can go ahead and build my motor mounts as well without having to pull it back out again. Everything's done, frames boxed in, motor mount plates are made and ready for the motor to come in. We go grab John and stab this thing in here. Try to tilt back. Oh, whoa, stop.
Ah, that sucks. See it hitting the top and it's already at the bottom.
You know, when you own a custom shop as long as I have, you get a lot of experience fitting things in vehicles where they're not supposed to be. Like the Cummins and the 1950 Ford COE.
On this side, the injector pump is hitting the body.
For our second attempt on the COE, we raised the body off the frame about a foot to get that engine in there.
It's about right. Like down, we can start getting this motor mounted to the frame. Whenever you need help, holla at me.
Oh, we will. Come on.
Now that we got the new engine in, you could clearly see it's a lot taller than what was in there. This was the original doghouse that was in there for the 350. So what we're gonna have to do is start from scratch, build a whole new doghouse, make it taller and wider as well. So I got a rough measurement from inside the truck, 36 by 24. Lay it in there, draw me a couple lines, start shaping it. Let's toss it in the truck. Okay, what we're gonna do here to get us some reference lines where I gotta bend this mark is the edge of the exhaust. These two marks are the valve cover, and this one is the edge of the fuel filter. Now we'll take this over to the machine and get it breaking.
Got a doghouse for the dog. The big dog.
Looks like this is gonna fit pretty good. Make a little adjustment cuts here and there. Make this as close as possible to the engine to give us as much cabin room as possible. But the engine does produce heat, so we can't get too close because then this will get hot. As you can see, this is a lot smaller than what we're working with, so we're just gonna go ahead and cut that off and just make it all new. The back piece tacked on there, giving it a little structural integrity while I make a bunch of these little pieces that are going to form the panel from the top and connect it to the back side. There's going to be a lot of trimming, fitting, and adding till we get this thing all finished.
Ground up builds, especially with an owner like Big John, he really challenges us to build something truly that's one of one. You know, that's my passion, but it's also my business. So I'm always riding that line, what's best for the shop and what's best for the build. You know, the truth be told, my passion almost always wins. Exhibit 1011, this 2001 Ford F-350. You know, we've done a lot of work to this point to get this old green work truck to the point it's at. You know, you can't really tell now, but about 6 months, we raised the truck 4 inches, added 24-inch wheels, we added full paint, fabricated the bed to flow with our custom fenders and custom short tailgate. You know, and even after all that, there's still just something missing.
Man, I know that look. What are you thinking?
It is not done. It needs a little more.
Like what?
It just needs something to throw it over the top. I think graphics on this thing would really, really, really just wake it up.
So you think it's something subtle, something small, or something just crazy?
See, you know I'm right. You know I'm right.
You're always right. That's why you're a successful businessman in America.
It's just too green. It needs some graphics down the side. You know, we got to call Caesar and Amanda, get them to come over and get it laid down on here. Then this thing will be finished.
I'll hit him up, see if he's in town, so you can stop by.
You know, we're lucky here with Houston's custom car scene. We have an abundance of specialists and artists who can really just take something just totally over the top. Like this husband and wife team, Caesar and Amanda.
So the main purpose of prepping it is that way we can open up the pores of the paint so we can actually have the adhesion on top of the base color.
Having my wife work with me is a lot easier because the same goal in mind always helps.
Plus, good work is hard to find, so that's why I learned so I can work with him every day.
I'm gonna start with my fine line. I basically had to draw something to get proportion right, and then from there I'll start tweaking it and getting the balance just right. It looks good on paper, but putting it on something that's three-dimensional is really hard because if one line has a real clean arc and there's a kink in it, that disrupts the whole flow of the design process. And it's kind of like a puzzle. You know, I'm trying to piece everything together and I'm working little by little. And then from there, I'll step back and look at the bigger picture.
Now that these graphics are done on the side of the truck, we're gonna pounce it to the other side. You're gonna have to tape over there and come this way.
All right.
We're gonna go ahead and start tracing them and making our marks with a crayon. We're gonna make sure that we get the graphics and then also like the door jambs, the body lines, stuff like that, so that way we can make sure that we have accurate placement whenever we flip it to the other side and transfer the image. More of like an avocado green. So we are going to be trying to mix something that's kind of close to that. I can kind of manipulate the tones to get it where we want it.
I like where the green's at, but it needs a little bit more of a bump. So we got some interstellar pearls we're gonna add to it.
Caesar, we're good.
That's what I want. and the sun is gonna make the pearl pop out and give it that dance and shimmer effect. All right, so what we're gonna do is, we got it all masked up, so I'm gonna start laying my base coat down. With pearls, there is a technique to spraying. You wanna get nice, even coats, no blotchiness. So you wanna be a little higher with your pressure and a little more sporadic. That way you can get your pigments to lay on real well. I just finished doing my second coat. What I'm gonna do is wait for this to flash. I'll come back after it's cured and spray some more coats.
What I like about Caesar and Amanda's work, they use multiple techniques with multiple layers all throughout the graphics. The details they're gonna add to this F350 are just gonna look like they're popping out all that green.
I'm just trying, that way the balance is there, kind of coming from both angles. It kind of makes it look like the colors are cutting into each other. I'll start with the base. I'll come along the edges, get a nice smooth blend. And basically each step builds on top of it. I'll clean the gun, I'll load it up with the candy. You'll slowly start seeing the transitions of the pearls and the candies kind of mixed together. With custom painting, you never know what's gonna happen. You never know how your layout's gonna turn out, and you kind of base off a feeling, and you just wanna have the right look. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of sacrifice. Sometimes you gotta break a few eggs before you get it right.
Is that lift arm gonna hit that body mount over there?
I'm good.
We're separating the frame on the 1950 Ford F5.
Turn the wheel.
We're gonna tidy up the suspension with new upper, lower control arms, bag mounts, and all new bags all the way around. You know, right now is one of the most critical stages when you're setting up air suspension. We got the chassis simulated with the truck all the way deflated, like all the way on the ground. So we're gonna simulate the bag fully compressed with our 3-inch spacer. So that's where it needs to go. Okay, real quick, Ryan, measure.
5 and 1/16. 5 and a 16.
We're ready to blow this thing apart.
So, these last couple hours and this little moment right here is always exhausting and exciting all at the same time. Once we get this thing done and powder coated and you start seeing it all come together, man, just this in itself is going to be a showstopper, and then adding the cab and the bed and wheels and all that, man, this is going to be one of my favorites that we've ever done, for sure.
To paint this entire truck orange. I was looking for something bright, bold, but still classy.
In the booth we go. Coming out Tangelo. Oh, come on. Our customer John is all about the bling and the wow factor. So we went with a 2015 Lamborghini orange on this truck. This is a big truck. It's going to be a lot of orange. I think he's going to like it. Because there is so much pearl in it, it doesn't cover as well as some other paints. So you got to make sure when you're spraying, you got a nice even spray pattern. You sunlight. On this color, it's going to take 4, maybe 5 coats to get complete coverage, and that's what we're going for.
I like to powder coat our suspensions and frames. It not only lasts longer, more durable, but it makes it look a whole lot better. With the chassis back from powder coat, ask Little One to assemble the rolling chassis. Then we'll install the engine and marry it to the flatbed and the cab. Yeah, that's right, his name's Little One. Don't ask me why, but he's a good mechanic and fabricator.
We get the motor in here, get the wiring done, and we go ahead and get all the brake lines. That way we don't have to struggle when the cab is on there and everything's fit perfectly.
And it's the first time I see the powder coat compared to the cab. It goes really good. Come on, Jesse. Go forward. Line display right here. All right, go down. Slowly. All right, let's get the other side. Go.
Down?
Yeah. Oh,
right there, you got it right there.
All right, Jesse. Your forklift services are no longer needed.
It's always
cool to take the extra effort just to do the rolling chassis. You know, John wanted to keep basically the stock chassis, but he wanted to modify it to fit the truck. Powder coat is broken apart, and you look up underneath there, and everything's finished 100%.
Bring it down.
Been a long time coming. We're getting the cab down on the chassis. Finally, you know, we started working on this. It was kind of cold outside. Got hot, real hot. We worked all the way through summer. Starting to get cold again. You know, you can tell this is a long project. Measure the distance in between there. Center hole, center hole.
Yeah, 23 3/4.
I'm an instant gratification guy, so I'm feeling pretty gratified right now. You know, when big parts start coming together, it makes for a good day. Looking good?
Down a little bit.
That's about right where it's gonna be.
Hell yeah. Man, that's what I like to see. You know, it feels good to look around the shop and see all these big and bigger builds getting worked on. But honestly, nothing feels better when you give one of these back to the owner. And after several months of work, this lifted F-350 is right on the edge.
Makes these graphics seem like they're wider when you're looking at them, but not something that's going to overkill them. It's easy to mess up, and it's even harder to fix once you do. Sometimes when I'm striping, I'll hold my breath, and as I'm pulling my line, I'll exhale. Even my own heartbeat will shake my hand sometimes. It's just you and the brush, and you just focus on the moment that you're striping, because it takes a lot of control and discipline to get your brush to work. You have to control it. I'm nowhere as good as I want to be, and every time I pick up the brush, in the first 10 or 15 minutes, I'm going to know if I'm going to stripe that day. Because some days I have it, some days I don't.
Let me find some wood to knock on, because this truck is done. When the owners Andrew and Katie dropped this truck off a few months ago, you wouldn't believe it. It was just a busted up old work truck. But after all we've done, it's going to be worth the wait, and these graphics are just a cherry on the top. What's happening? Good morning.
What you say, Bill? How you doing, man?
Hi. Hi, good morning.
Today's the day.
Yeah, it is, right? You've been waiting a while.
Oh, yeah.
You guys came in that old tired ranch truck. You wanted something totally different, right?
We wanted that one-off no one had.
Right?
Family, its whole life. I wasn't having a new truck. They all looked the same.
What better way than just take the money we have saved and build something unique?
You know, we spent a lot of time on the aesthetics on this thing. You know, just when we thought we were done with this thing, it wasn't done. It needed something just a little more to put it way over the top.
Cool deal. Let's see it. I'm real nervous right now because, you know, I talked her into doing it, and now, you know, if it doesn't turn out right, she's going to kick my butt.
You guys ready to check this thing out?
I'm super excited.
Let's get Matt to bring this thing around.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, Bill, that is sick right there, man. That is awesome.
Oh, I think I'm going to cry. That's crazy. I'm shaking.
You get it right there.
Looks good, huh?
Oh, yeah, not even the same truck.
Close to what we expected, right?
Nope, not even close. This is nice, Bill.
I mean,
so you're liking it?
Oh, yeah, we're loving it. Loving it.
Look at that really cool bumper.
Just makes you want to get out of its way, right?
Oh, yeah, those round lights. I'm glad you went with that instead of a light bar.
Yeah, man, that's been way overplayed, right?
No, that is perfect. That is nice.
You know, the 24-inch dually wheels on this thing that just really wakes it up.
Color match, too.
Right?
That's nice.
You know, one of the most unique things on the truck is the bed itself. So what we did is just cut the original bed down and shaped it around the later model dually fenders, which gives it just a totally different look.
Perfect, and plus I still get the bed use. It's got the sides, it's got the little tailgate on there, so stuff's not flying out. I don't have to strap everything down.
Right?
Little baby
I
gate.
think it's pretty cute.
Little baby gate.
A mini gate.
The
finishing touch on this was just the graphics, just to tie everything together, just put it next level.
It takes that truck from awesome to radical, 100%.
That's right.
I think those graphics stand out. It's like they're not even touching the paint. It's like they're just setting off the truck completely. The different layers on that, the colors in there, that's perfect, but it doesn't take it away from the actual truck itself. So
It adds to it,
yeah,
for sure.
it really does.
Absolutely. It just gives it that whole aggressive attitude and makes it just
stand out. It's kind of cool, you know? It's like there's a little snakeskin looking thing, and then there's like a little leopard looking thing. I don't know. It's like an exotic animal of some sort.
It's like the green beast, man. It's unique.
There you go, man. I think you just named your truck.
Might have. See what she says about that.
Now we need some graphics on the back windows that say Green Beast.
After looking at everything that Bill's done and the guys did on this truck, we only have one problem.
What's that?
I'm going to be bringing more of our vehicles here.
Oh, gosh.
You went above and beyond what we wanted. This is perfect.
Appreciate that. I'm glad it's still in your family. I'm sure you're going to keep it for a long time.
We will.
Oh, yeah. It'll go to the grave with us.
Watch the back of the cab. You know, it's always good to see one leave, but two is always better. And the 1950 Ford COE is getting real close to being finished. John's out there putting a lot of strips of wood together to fill that bed and the running boards.
So I've got all the raw lumber laying down to the proper thickness. So what we can do now is I'm going to take the jig that they built the bed off of, mark it out so I know what parts of it I'm going to be using. I'm going to go ahead and cut these boards down to length so I have smaller pieces to deal with, and it'll be a lot easier to manage when it's time to glue and clamp these up. Next thing we want to do is do a layout for our biscuit joinery. This is what's called a biscuit. We create a pocket in both halves of the wood, and when you bring it together, it keeps everything lined up. It makes a stronger joint, so these things will be solid. I'm going to take this tool. This is a plate joiner, and what this is going to do is it's actually going to cut it. The biscuit fits in like that, and it will line up with the next one. They go together like so. That way now it's perfectly even across here. A little bit of sanding and these things will be dead on, ready to go. Usually we're working with fiberglass, Bondo, India, things like that. It's really kind of a treat to have a chance to work with some real wood and, you know, play with a tree.
Everything we do here, it's about going the extra mile. So when Big John wanted to Cummins diesel in his COE, you know, I gave a call to some Cummins specialists who come from a tiny little town, hour and a half north of here, called Nacogdoches. What's up? Hey, what's happening, man?
What's up, Bill?
How you doing, brother? Man, real good. Appreciate you guys coming down.
Absolutely. No problem, man.
And what'd you think about this, man?
This is awesome.
It's like beauty, man.
I've never very many 52 Ford run around with a 4BT in.
Right.
Dude, I can't wait to hear this thing run, man. Get a hold of that pump, turn it up, make her roll some coal.
Do what you do, man. Let's get this thing running.
Let's get her done.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Stock, this engine's about 120 horsepower. We're going to have John's pushing about 3 liters, pump work, turbo.
It should give us about 600 foot-pounds of torque, which is plenty for moving this big old truck.
That's a bad little engine.
Yes, it is.
Big bang for your buck. All right, now that we got the front cover off, I think we're ready to go ahead and clean everything up, make sure there's no debris or anything inside of it that could potentially cause a malfunction or failure, and then put our new billet front cover on. So the advantage of this front cover versus the old style one is that they actually were prone to leaking a lot. They were a really thin piece of metal, and these engines heat up and cool down so much that they actually start to warp and breaks the seal on the gasket. So advantage of this, it's a lot thicker, a lot stronger. It helps create a better seal over time, and we won't have oil going everywhere either.
These 4-cylinder Cummins, these 4BTs, they run great fuel mileage, and they can move a big vehicle for the size of them, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of companies use them that do a lot of deliveries.
Yeah.
And they're running 24/7.
24/7.
Putting 400, 500,000 miles on these things, and they just keep
on running. Okay, so we're taking these single valve covers off. We're going to put one solid piece of billet aluminum on here. They tend not to leak as much. Instead of a gasket that kind of overlaps these, we got O-rings on each one that's cut into the billet piece. Looks a lot better than what we have here.
So what we're putting on here is a harmonic balancer. Typically 4BTs didn't come with them because they were in industrial use. They didn't really care about vibration in the engine or anything like that. Seeing as this is going in a truck now, this helps dampening all the vibrations coming from the crank and just really smooths out the engine idle and gives you a nice ride.
These guys did an amazing job getting this to fit, and we can fire this thing up. You ready to start it?
Yeah, I got the launch crack ready to bleed it out.
Let's do it.
Hit it.
Man, this thing sounds awesome, dude. Good job. This thing sounded awesome, man. This thing's going to give John plenty of room in here. It's just going to fit the bill, man. It's just going to run great. I mean, it just sounds awesome, man. Woo!
Sounds great.
John's been putting in hours and hours of making the wood to put in the running boards and the flatbed. You know, it takes a lot of experience to work with the hardwood.
As you see, I got it all roughed out and cut to shape. So the next thing I'm gonna do is take my template. I'm just gonna clamp the template to this and take my hand router and the flush trim bit and work my way around it. Slowly ease my way around the corners. With this being a hardwood, I'm gonna have to be careful so it doesn't tear out and split out on the ends. So take a little bit more time than cutting MDF, but way worth it. Well, we got this one piece ready to go. So next step is get it over to the paint shop and we'll get a finish put on it. Man, that sure does look good. Awesome. Man, I can't wait to see them in the truck. It's gonna be beautiful, man. Beautiful.
So we're gonna get the wood ready to stain. The stain's gonna look great with this type of wood. It's gonna give it the clarity that we want, and it's gonna be beautiful. I want it to be fairly natural, so I don't want a really heavy pigmented stain. So this is gonna be very transparent. It's gonna highlight the wood, so we'll put it on there. I wanna go in a circular motion to make sure that I get all of this stain mixture here applied evenly. So I'll come back and I'll wipe it this way out. So I've got the clear in the gun and we're gonna get to spraying. We're going for a full fill finish, just like a piano would have. So in order to seal the pores of the wood, we need to keep coating it, keep sanding it, smooth it out really well. And that's the way we're gonna get that look that Bill wants.
On builds like this, I like to have the design flow from the inside out. So the wood on the bed is going to flow all the way into the interior.
Now I got all the measurements and everything. We've got the shifter in and the doghouse, so we know everything's going to fit like we should. So now I just got to transfer all these measurements to a piece of chipboard, and then we'll start building this console. All right, now we got all the pieces cut out. We're going to put the base of the console together. Once we get it all together, we're going to go ahead and start on the top section of it. It's going to look pretty nice. I'm loving it so far. I think it's going to be just like what was envisioned. You know, we're going to have two googly eyes here, two more googly eyes here, shifter right there, compartment with plenty of storage, plenty of room. You'll see when these sides go on, it's actually going to leave us a 1/4-inch gap in the center for our aluminum. That's going to run like a belt line all the way across here. And then we're going to have our lacewood veneer on the top. So where this lid opens up, I don't want to see screws. We have our center screws. We're going to attach from inside this panel through the aluminum and pull this together. So you'll give a real clean look without seeing one screw whatsoever. People are going to wonder how it's held together. Like most things I build, the console is a puzzle. You know, I build everything from inside out. It's the little details that count. A lot of extra work, but it's worth it in the end. I like it.
COE puzzle are built, we got to complete the picture. That's installing the doors, adding the stereo, final electrical, and of course installing the beautiful hardwood and the running boards in the bed.
There has been a ton of work. I know I say that a lot of work in this thing.
You know, the great thing about customization is you have this one idea, your one base idea to start off of. And once you start, getting into it, you're transforming your vehicle into something, your vision. There's always other ideas along the way that even make your vision greater. There's always something to put your personal touch on.
Once you do add that one or two pieces, now you got to keep going down the truck.
Snowballs.
Everybody pushes the boundaries every year.
Well, that's one good thing about customization. It never does stop.
The wheels get bigger, tires get bigger, brakes get bigger, suspensions get taller, try to get lower. Same with stereo, same with changing paint. It's just on and on and on.
That's what's great about the industry that we're in. There's always something higher to reach for, something to improve on. The Ford COE has just been a huge build. Everybody at the shop has been pushing one another to create Big John something he can be proud of for years to come.
I've waited a long time for this decided to get this COE back. How you doing?
Hey, man, good. Good to see
you. Got out here.
Man, I always like coming out here and hanging out with you.
Well, I always loved having you. I invited my grandkids out here so they could see this because they all love the milk truck, but the bar was high on that.
That's right. I know, you won't accept nothing less than that for sure.
I hope you exceeded that bar on this one.
Absolutely. Been a long time coming. I know you're ready. You guys ready?
You're ready.
Let's check this thing out. Come on, John.
Awesome. You did good. Look at that rascal.
What you think?
Yeah. I like it. Look at the blade. You hit the paint perfect. Compared to what it was.
The sun hitting this Lamborghini orange, this thing looks amazing.
Hey, Don.
Hey, John.
You had a hand in this one, doing this one?
Yes, sir.
You did the milk truck?
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. You did an awesome job.
Thank you, sir.
Tell me everything about it. What all y'all do?
I got to tell you what we started with on this one, right?
We had a nasty truck.
Nothing lined up on this. There was rust everywhere. Months and months of metal work, just making everything
fit right.
We dropped the frame out of this thing, redid the suspension, powder coated it just by making a Western hauler style bed. It just really fits this style of the truck.
Great. What type of wood is this?
That's a lace wood with mahogany inserts, and also brought it down into the running boards just to bring some color in that, contrast, and just be something that nobody's ever seen before.
I mean, the lines are beautiful. The wood cut is perfect. You come up with the extraordinary every time. I appreciate it.
Of course, he threw us a curveball on this thing.
We changed with the diesel motor.
Yeah, we had this thing almost all buttoned up as far as the engine wise, and then with this nice curveball.
Oh, well, I knew y'all could handle it.
Let's check this out.
Let's go check it out. Whoa, that looks fantastic. It's great.
How the little 4BT looks right at home in this thing, right?
Isn't that really good?
Well, I'm glad you made that call because this thing needed a diesel.
When y'all picked it up, it didn't look like that.
No, you definitely wouldn't want to pop the hood the way it was before, right? You see the intercooler tubes go up in there. Just, man, it makes this thing really stand out. Had the one-way diesel guys come down. They turn this thing up. It's got over 300 plus horsepower, probably 1,000,000 foot-pounds of torque.
Should be screamer now, huh?
Right? You ready to check out the interior?
You bet we are. Wow. You did fantastic. That looks good.
But you gotta have the comfort too, right?
Oh yeah, we gotta be able to cruise in it and enjoy it.
I mean, we started by ripping everything out of this thing and just starting fresh. Welded up all the holes in the dash and just woke this thing up, brought that orange color inside.
I like the wood here, but you brought it in here.
Right?
That is beautiful. All
just had to tie it all together.
And the console too.
Not only that, this thing sounds good too. You got all new stereo on this thing. It's all Bluetooth. New gauges, new AC, new everything.
The upgrades are unbelievable.
There's not anything in this thing from 1950.
That's true. That's true. This exceeded what I wanted. The orange all the bling, the wood, that rollback roof, all of it's fantastic. I'm looking really forward to taking this truck out.
Bart, we said hi with the milk truck. How we do?
The milk truck's great, and this is better. If we ever do another one, you really gonna have some tough times. Thank you very much, John. Thank you very much.
Let's get this thing in.
Let's get it inside.
You know, this job was a long one for us. You know, every guy in the shop has hours and hours and weeks, in some cases months. And this is a long, labor-intensive build, which I'm very proud of how this thing turned out. Reminds me of how good my whole team is. I'm proud of each and every one of my guys. I couldn't do this alone, and I appreciate everything they do for me and all my customers.